Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss about the basic properties of triangles. In addition to the basic properties of triangles, we are also going to discuss about congruency and similarity of triangles. Okay. Before going through this video, I recommend you to go through the video of properties of straight lines. Then you come here. Okay. Suppose I consider a triangle ABC. Sum of angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degree. Sum of the interior angles of a triangle is equal to 180 degree, which means if you add all the three angles, say 65 plus 35, which will make you 100, and one more angle is there, 80 degree. If you add all the three angles, then sum of all the three interior angles will be 180 degree. So this is one of the properties of a triangle. Sum of the interior angles will always be equal to 180 degree, not more than that or not less than that. So if you have to prove the figure to be a triangle, then you have to prove that the sum of all the three interior angles will be equal to 180 degree. I hope you will be clear on that. The next property will be the sum of any two sides of a triangle will always be greater than the third side. Okay. Here the naming convention which I used for the sides will be small a, small b, small c. That is, the small a will be opposite to angle A, small b will be opposite to angle B, small c will be opposite to angle C. That is how the naming convention I do for the triangles. Okay, that will be very easy for me, right? So sum of any two sides A plus B will always be greater than the third side C. If I consider A and C and add them, A plus C will always be greater than B. Now if I consider B and C, if I add B and C, the sum of these two sides will always be greater than the third side A. Okay, clear on this? Now another thing, the difference between any two sides will always be lesser than the third side. Sorry if I used the word or, correct? So that should not be used. So the difference between any two sides will always be lesser than the third side. A minus B, if I find the difference between A minus B, it should always be lesser than C. Okay. So if I find the difference between B minus C, it should always be lesser than A. If I find A and C, the difference between A and C will always be lesser than B. Here I used a symbol called modulus. Okay. You can easily examine why I used the symbol modulus here, because if side A is 2 cm, side B is 5 cm, then the difference will be 2 minus 5, minus 3. Always the measurement will not be in a negative quantity. Okay. So I used the symbol modulus in order to remove the negative quantity. I can even put B minus A. Okay, it depends on my convenience. B minus A will give me a positive quantity, but here I haven't used this modulus symbol. Why I haven't used this modulus symbol? Because A and B are always positive quantities. If you add two positive quantities, then it will automatically yield me a positive quantity. So I haven't used this modulus symbol. Right. The third property will be the exterior angle will always be equal to the sum of interior opposite angles. So here I find exterior angle. Exterior angle in the sense I extend one of the sides. So I prefer to extend the side BC to D. So here the exterior angle ACD will always be equal to sum of interior opposite angles. Here I used the word opposite. Please highlight on that word. So, okay. So here if I consider angle C, what are all the other angles which are opposite to angle C? Angle A and B are opposite to angle C, correct? So this exterior angle will always be equal to the sum of interior opposite angles. Okay, so angle C, here I have given the dimensions also, right? Dimensions of the angles 65 degree, 80 degree and 35 degree. I am adding all these. 145 degree angle C will be 145 degree, correct? 145 degree. Suppose that if I extend the side AC to X and the side AB to Y, now this exterior angle A will be equal to the sum of interior opposite angles, angle B and angle C. I have given here clearly. Okay, so if AB is extended, this exterior angle B will be equal to sum of interior opposite angles, angle A and angle C. Understood? Now, the next property of triangles, the side opposite to the greater angle will always be the greater side. Similarly, the side opposite to the lesser angle will always be the lesser side. Let us consider an example for this. I am considering a right-angled triangle, right-angled at B. Here, the side opposite to the right angle will be the hypotenuse. Anyhow, if one angle is 90 degree, then the other two angles will not be greater than 90 degree as per the properties of triangles which we discussed here. So, this angle should be the greatest angle. So, the side opposite to the greatest angle will be the greatest side. Here, I come here. Now, we have three different angles, right? Three angles. You have to find the greatest side. How will you do this? The side opposite to the greatest angle, 80 degree, will be the greatest side. Here AC will be the greatest side. Okay. The last property of a triangle which you need to know is, this is not a property, this is basic fundamental formula, correct? So area of a triangle is given by half into base into height. Okay. Here, if you consider this altitude, AD is the altitude. If AD is determined as altitude, then altitude should be perpendicular to the base. If AD is the altitude, then BC should be the base. Okay, so the area will be given by half into base BC into AD, correct? Now we have to classify the triangles. So this classification of triangles can be done based on sides and angles. First, let us classify the triangles based on the sides. Okay, the first classification will be equilateral triangle. In an equilateral triangle, as you know already, the three sides of the triangle will be equal. A is equal to B is equal to C, and the three angles will also be equal. Okay, so the sum of interior angles will be 180 degree. If you divide 180 by 3, you get 60 degree. So angle A will be 60 degree, angle B is equal to 60 degree, angle C is equal to 60 degree. Height of an equilateral triangle is given by root 3 by 2A. This you have to memorize. If you know the height of a triangle, you can calculate the area of a triangle. Area of a triangle will be given by half into base into height. Here base is A, height is root 3 by 2A. So the area of area of an equilateral triangle will be root 3 by 4A square. Now let us come to the isosceles triangle. In an isosceles triangle, exactly two sides of a triangle are equal. Then it is proved to be an isosceles triangle. If AB is equal to AC is equal, then if AB is equal to AC, then it is an isosceles triangle. And also we have the angle. Exactly two angles will be equal. So in an isosceles triangle, we have two sides equal and two angles are equal. Okay, then it is called as an isosceles triangle. The non-equal side, I said only two sides are equal, right? So the non-equal side will be the base BC. So the angle made by the two equal sides with the base will always be equal. Here AB is equal to AC and angle ABC is equal to angle ACB. Correct? Scalene triangles is not so important in GMAT or CAT perspective, but you have to know what is a scalene triangle. In a scalene triangle, all the three sides will be of different length. In addition to this, a scalene triangle follows all the properties of triangles. Okay, so now we have done the classification of triangles based on sides. Now we are going to classify the triangles based on angles. Triangles can be broadly classified into three types as acute angle triangle, right angle triangle and obtuse angle triangle. So first let me consider the right angled triangle. In a right angle triangle, one angle should be 90 degree. Here I chose angle B is 90 degree. The side opposite to the 90 degree will be the hypotenuse. The square of the hypotenuse will be equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So this is Pythagoras theorem which you have learnt in the elementary school level. So in addition to this, we have acute and obtuse angle triangle. In acute angle triangle, all the three angles will be lesser than 90 degree. All the three angles of the triangle will be lesser than 90 degree, whereas in an obtuse angle triangle, one angle will be greater than 90 degree and the other two angles will be acute angles. Okay, only one angle will be greater than 90 degree. So in right angled triangle, you have learnt Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem states that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Pythagoras theorem has a corollary. Correct? So Pythagoras theorem has a corollary. Now you are going to learn about the corollary. This corollary is meant for acute angle and obtuse angle triangles. Here in acute angle triangles, we don't call it as hypotenuse. We just call it as a longer side. The same is the case for obtuse angle triangles. The square of the longest side will be lesser than the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Whereas in obtuse angle triangle, the square of the largest side will be greater than the sum of the squares of the other two sides. So these are the two corollaries of the Pythagoras theorem. Very, very important. You please learn that. Okay, you learn the corollaries also. So here we have classified the triangle based on sides and based on angles. Okay, now we are going to establish a relationship between two triangles. Suppose that I give two triangles to you and some relationship has to be established between the two triangles. Then what are all the ways in which I can establish the two triangles? The first kind of relationship between two triangles is the equality of the area. That is, if two triangles are equal in area, then the two triangles will be, I'm sorry for this, the two triangles are equal in area. This is the first relationship. So if I put a triangle ABC is equal to triangle DEF, then it does not mean that the sides are equal or angles are equal. It does not mean that. Okay, if triangle ABC is equal to triangle DEF, then it means that only the area is equal. We need not see the sides or the angles. Okay, here if you put a symbol is equal to between the two triangles, then it means that the area enclosed by the two triangles will be equal. Area formula is given by half into base into height, right? So I have proved 1 by 2 B1 H1 is equal to 1 by 2 B2 H2. I am cancelling this 1 by 2. B1 H1 is equal to B2 H2, right? So this is the first relationship. The next relationship will be congruency. What do you mean by congruency? Congruency means superimposed. Okay, so let me explain this with a practical example. consider this notebook, correct? Consider this notebook. I also take another notebook, right? So these two notebooks have the same figure, have the same dimension, have the same length, have the same breadth, have the same height. Everything is same, correct? So if I place this note above the previous note, then completely the previous note is hidden, correct? So none of the parts of the previous note is visible. Just like that, it has covered the previous note. That means that the angle made will be equal. These angles will be equal. The lengths are equal. The breadth is equal. The area is equal. Everything is equal. That is, the first notebook can be superimposed on the second notebook. Then it is called as congruency. In biology, we have this twins, right? So twins can be classified into two types as monozygotic and dizygotic twins. Monozygotic twins are identical twins, whereas dizygotic twins are non-identical twins. In monozygotic twins, you call those two persons and you see their hairstyle will be the same, their eye color will be the same, the body weight will be the same, and the height will be the same. Everything will be the same, whereas dizygotic twins will be somewhat non-identical. So for congruency, I take the example of monozygotic twins. Here in biology we mention monozygotic, correct? Whereas in congruency whereas in mathematics I say congruency. I use the word congruency. That is, one object if placed over or superimposed over the other object, then the first object will be completely invisible or completely hidden to my eyes, right? So that is called as congruency. So how do you say that the two triangles are congruent? Two triangles are congruent only if the areas are equal, height is equal, side is equal, and all the angles are equal. So this is what called as congruency. So how do you prove congruency? How do you prove congruency? Okay. So there are totally three ways in which we can prove two triangles are congruent. The first congruency will be SSS congruency, side congruency. Side congruency means if you prove the three sides of a triangle are equal, then the three triangles are congruent. That is, if you prove AB is equal to DE, BC is equal to EF, and AC is equal to DF, the two triangles are congruent. See, I have indicated the first triangle using red pen. I have indicated the second triangle using blue pen. So I am placing this red triangle above the blue triangle. So I have mixed both the colors, correct? You can see, you can easily identify the two triangles are placed one over the other in such a way that the first triangle goes completely invisible. That is, both the triangles are of equal length, equal area, equal height, equal angle. So this is what called as congruency. Here I have indicated congruency using the plus sign, correct? Just for an example I am telling, I am placing this triangle, one triangle over the other, correct? So these two triangles are congruent. In order to prove the congruency, the first sufficient condition will be all the three sides are equal. All the three sides of the triangle are equal. AB is equal to, if all the three corresponding sides of the triangle are equal, then that means AB is equal to DE, BC is equal to EF, and AC is equal to DF. Then the two triangles are congruent. That means all the angles are equal, all the height is equal, and area is also equal. So this is SSS congruency. Side angle side congruency. If you prove two sides are equal, that is AB is equal to DE and AC is equal to DF, and angle included between the two equal sides are equal, then it is SAS congruency. See, these two sides are equal. AB is equal to DE and AC is equal to DF. Now we are considering this angle A only, not any other angle. See my definition clearly. The angle included between the two equal sides. So I should see only angle A and angle D, not any other angles. Okay. So this SAS congruency cannot be called as ASS congruency or SSA congruency. Here you see the diagram. ABC is a triangle and DEF is another triangle. If AB is equal to DE and AC is equal to DF, suppose that I mistakenly say angle B and angle E are equal, then a mathematical genius will call me as a stupid. Correct? Because for SAS congruency, we have to prove only the included angle are equal. Okay, that is SAS congruency. See the order perfectly. SAS. So side, angle, side. This is one side, this is another side, and this angle should be between the two sides. Okay, this is SAS congruency. Another thing, the last type of congruency will be AAS congruency. This AAS can also be called as ASA congruency or SAA congruency. The last congruency states that any two angles should be equal. Along with the two angles, the corresponding sides should be equal. So any two angle A is equal to angle D, angle C is equal to angle F. Any two angles are equal, then any one side should be equal. That is BC is equal to EF or AB is equal to DE or AC is equal to DF. Then the two triangles are said to be congruent. Here also there is one trap. What is the trap? If I happen to say angle A is equal to angle D, angle C is equal to angle F, and if I say that AB is equal to EF, then my mathematics faculty will slap me. I have to prove corresponding one side should be equal. Correct? Any two angles and one side should be equal. That one side should be the corresponding sides. Okay? This is AAS congruency. This can also be